What's up,
Got,
guys? This is
got
the
it.
Wheelchair Bodybuilding Podcast. We are 1 week out from the Olympia, and we got Tim, Adolfo, and Nick here today. We're all IFBB pros. Me and Adolfo are on the Olympia stage in a week from yesterday. How you guys doing?
Oh,
All good, all
Tim
good.
and Nick aren't doing the Olympia.
No,
No.
I qualified, but I need to put on size. I need to add a
Okay.
bit more size to be able to get with you guys.
Yeah, and
So
I haven't
hopefully
qualified yet.
next year.
My debut will be at the Arnold next year.
Oh, nice. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
so I'm already in prep for that.
In March.
Yeah.
Nice.
How's the
Yeah.
prep going, Adolfo? Feeling good?
Yeah, I did. I actually am in that. I had quite a small little scared myself during the Thanksgiving holiday. Um, a few things that I don't know if we can mention here, but I was just experimenting and playing around with different things and the
You talk whatever you
combination.
want.
Okay.
Yeah, we talk about it.
So, I mean, again, I felt like I was already behind when I broke my femur in
Yeah.
August. So I didn't even, when I broke my femur, I didn't even know like if I could still do it, but I just took it 1 week at a time. So I think I was 16 weeks out when I broke my femur, or 15. But
Yeah, it was late in
regardless,
the beginning.
I had to take it easy for for the first week for sure. I didn't train. I had to let all the swelling in my leg go down. And then week 2 was just I just kind of experimented around the gym to see what I could do. What exercises I could do in my upper body that wouldn't move my leg around too much. So that was like the second week. And then the third week was like, okay, cool, like just little bullshit stuff. Like, you know, I just kind of stuck to what, I could do. And then by the fourth week, I was like, I think I could swing it. I think I could continue on this prep. My diet was pretty much on point prior, like 4 weeks, because I like to prep before the prep. So I like to before I start my preps, I like to give myself 4 to 6 weeks just to, it's weird. I have a little prep before I start the real prep. So, and yeah, and I thought I was pretty on pace. I was like, I think I could do enough to maybe show up like I did last year or maybe under, because I quite didn't know. And then I felt good. Everything was good, and started. I was like, okay, everything's good. And then come what was that? Thanksgiving weekend, I was like, okay, I'm just I'm learning the art of being so nonchalant about bodybuilding and less stress, and just how to work it. Just because I own my own business, I train clients, I run a nutrition / pro shop. So man, I have to be mentally like on point all the time. Like I can't let the effects of dieting get to me. Like I have, like my clients and customers don't care that I'm dieting. Like they don't care that I'm hungry and all this stuff. Like again, they shouldn't. It's not their choice. It's my choice to compete. So, but I'm rambling. So let me fast forward.
What
But
scare did you have?
Oh, okay. Anyway, I knew I set my cheat day, and again, when I say cheat day, I don't mean like you guys know what I mean. Just for the casual people listening, cheat day it could be a refeed, high carb day, whatever you want to call it. Cheat days more so eat what you want, stuff your face type deal. But that was a different thing that I did this year as well. I used to have structured refeeds, but this year I just said, you know what, I'm gonna give myself a two hour window just to have a cheat meal or cheat window. And I was like, okay, it's been working. But anyway, come to Thanksgiving, usually I'll have my cheat window like at it on Sundays. But Thanksgiving weekend came around, I was like, okay, I'll pick one or two. Which do I want to have my cheat window on Thursday or my regular Sunday? So Sunday I ended up having it because there was some good food. And then like Thursday or the Wednesday before, I woke up, I looked good. And then even after Thursday, I woke up, I was like, look big, full. And I was like, okay, I had 2 more days of low days, so I'll dig again. And then come Sunday, I cheated again, did myself. And then that following Wednesday, I was like, fuck, like, why am I holding so much goddamn water? Like I felt like, I know it's not the case, but I felt like I put on some extra body fat. I was like, whoa, what the fuck is going on here? And again, I also experimented with my protocols for, we can mention this in this podcast,
Yeah, you can
for
talk about whatever you want.
enhancements. Okay.
I'm on some shit, so don't worry about
Okay.
it.
Okay. So
So
pretty much I run like I work my way, running growth. So I was running, started with like 3 IUs, and then gradually worked my way to 6 IUs. And then I think that night before Thanksgiving, I think that Wednesday Eve, I forgot my backwater at my shop, and I had like a little drip left, and I had nothing. So I was just in a brain fart, and I was like, dude, how am I going to do this? So I just said, fuck it. And then I did 1 whole 8, 110 IU just shot because I didn't want to miss my shot. I know it's stupid. I shouldn't have done it, but still, bodybuilders like, oh shit, like we can't miss a shot. So fuck it. So, I went from 6 IUs to, I stuck 10 IUs a growth in me. The next day before Thanksgiving day, when I woke up, I was like full and hard. And I was like, whoa, I like this fucking feeling. And then, so I was like, okay, I won't do 10, but I'll do 8. So I did that on Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday. And then, dude, Saturday night, my hands got super numb. I said, okay, I'm going back down. And so anyway, and I cheated on Sunday again. And then come Monday, I think the 2 cheats that I had that week, plus the stupid shit I did with the growth, kind of made me hold so much water. I was just like, holy crap. And then I just had to calm myself down, walk myself off the ledge, and just said, okay, just go back to your routine. You had, it's a lot of water. So, I just kind of was patient and waited. And then by Thursday, I was like, oh, okay, normal. And then after that, I started, well, I did like sort of panic. So I went to the sauna like 2-3 days in a row, did all these things. And, I don't know if it worked or whatever, but regardless, now, like, I'm fucking, yeah, like I'm just pushing all the water out. Like I am pissing like a racehorse right now. Because today I start my peak week. So
yeah.
Today's when I start my peak week, this Sunday. So
Yeah. That's
It-
part of it, is experimenting with your body, right? And that's what's
Yeah.
interesting about bodybuilding. Everyone's a bit different, and
Yeah.
it's fascinating.
yeah,
I was
different.
gonna say, it seems like anytime you get off your routine and you do something you don't normally do. I mean, one refeed is one thing, but then like you start throwing in, messing with the dosage and stuff.
Yeah.
I've heard that happen before, and it's just a matter of like, if you stick with your regular routine, you don't typically
Yeah.
see that happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, then things are
And that-
predictable, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And all that was due to an accident, because I couldn't just be like, just miss the shot, you'll be okay. Like,
Yeah.
just wait.
Mhm.
But my dumb ass was just like, fuck it, I'll just do 10.
Yeah, but we're
Yeah.
bodybuilders,
Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard people say, it's like, it's the big swings. Like you want to just keep like this, and then your
Yeah.
body
Yeah.
will react harshly to it,
I don't know.
Oh.
When you guys first started, like, off topic, but being in a chair, when you guys first started playing or crossed over to the enhancement side, did you guys feel anything was going to happen or change with regards to your paralysis? I mean, I didn't know. I didn't, not like obviously not walking, but just certain things. You think did you guys ever think certain things would fire back or come back to life?
I didn't. I mean, mine's been pretty much destroyed. Like I never really got I got nothing back, and it's
Yeah.
been 19 years for me. So I didn't really think about that though. And I've actually never been on growth. So just to be honest, but it's just, mostly just the test and, all
Oh,
the shit.
I'm talking about enhancements. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, with regards to just enhancements, like when you guys first started or crossed over, like, did you think it would benefit you with regards to your paralysis in some sort of way.
I've never really thought about it like that.
Yeah.
But no, I think the only thing it's going to benefit is later on in life when we all get a little bit older and everything becomes that little bit harder to help yourself move around.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah.
We're just going to be that little bit stronger to be able to do that.
Yeah. And, you know, that's why, that's why, man, I'm a big proponent, especially with individuals like us in chairs, man, to manage your weight, can't let yourself go.
Oh, yeah.
Because the bigger you get, the wider the wheelchair you got to get. The wider the wheelchair makes you more immobile. You can't fit through shit, bro. Like,
Yeah, it's
have you seen
bad.
Nick's
Yeah.
wheelchair? Nick's got the widest wheelchair I've ever seen.
yeah, bro.
It is
I don't know
wide.
how he gets. I don't know how he gets around shit.
I don't know how he gets through stuff over here. Like when he comes to the UK, like we I don't know what it is about the UK. Like everything in America seems to be bigger anyway. And when he come over here, I was like, man, I struggle to get through doors in mine. Like you are going to struggle here.
No.
Yo,
he
for
has
sure,
got
because it's
a
like
big
old
chair.
buildings and yeah,
Everything. Like everywhere's got a step. Everywhere's got stairs. Like even when we went to the Arnold's, like I phoned Nick. I was like, where are we going? He's like, you've got to come upstairs. I was like, okay, cool. Found the lift was out of order, and then we asked about 7 different people, all people that work there, and they still didn't have a clue. And I was just like, we just randomly strolled upon one lift that was working. It literally brought us right out in front of Nick, and I'm like, man, how are you? Like his chair is just massive, but it's like a shopping cart underneath as well, isn't it? He puts
yeah, for sure.
his bag and everything underneath.
Yeah. It's as
How
wide
many
as his
times have you
head.
seen that though? Like how many times have you run into other people in wheelchairs, and they don't realize what the real problem is? The real problem is that they're overweight, they don't strength train, and that's what's messing them up. But in their mind, it's I'm disabled, right? It's not that you're disabled. You're not doing any dips or pull-ups. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do some dips and some pull-ups, and then you can climb into your car. You can get up onto the tall bed, right? So like,
Oh, we have it
that.
over here where you can actually get, like, I know in America, what do you class your to park in a disabled spot? What do you have? You have like something you hook on your mirror, right?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
so over here we have like a big ID, it's probably about this big, and it's like a booklet. On one side you have the time, like everywhere you get like 3 hours free parking, as long as you're in the disabled space. And the other side you've got it's like a big driving license, and on the back you've got your photo on it and everything like that, and you just put that on your dashboard. But you can now in the UK you can get one of them for being overweight.
Oh, that's
So
bad.
obesity
Oh,
is
we
now
have one
classed.
here. It's the red placard.
Oh, you get a red one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a red placard. Those are the ones for like other disabilities, like besides being like overweight.
Oh no,
Diabetic
no.
or
I
something like
mean, in the UK now you can just be classed as obese and have a disability badge.
Oh,
Oh, the doctors hand them out like candy. I mean, they don't give a shit.
Over
just
here they
hand them
don't.
out.
Unless honestly, it's hard to get one. Like
Well-
I mean, obviously I've got one, and you speak to people. I know I've heard other people like they've just got real bad anxiety, so they can get one. I'm like, what?
Isn't that bullshit? Hey, how many
Yeah.
times have you guys pulled into a handicap parking spot and the person beside you is getting out, knowing damn well that they don't need it, but then they look at you and you can tell they're looking guilty, and they're like, oh,
100%.
that dude actually needs a parking spot. Maybe I shouldn't be parking here.
We had it the other day.
and,
Well, I've
and
had
that's
it
the
quite a
most
lot
case most of the
recently.
time.
Yeah.
Go on, Tyler, what?
I know. Go ahead.
For the most
I
case,
had it
that's the only.
a couple of weeks ago at my gym, and I blocked him in, just pulled my car up, or my wife pulled the car up, and I said, go and have a look at the window. If there's not a blue badge, we're blocking them in. And there wasn't, so I just pushed my car as close as we could, and then went in. And then I just said they have to let me in through a side door because they've got like a glass opening like gate, and my wheelchair can't fit through, so we have to go around the back, and they have to let me in there. And I just went up to them. I said, look, someone's parked in the space. They haven't got a badge, so they can wait for me to finish my workout. And it was a lady from spin class. She come up and she said, I can't get out. And they come over and said, are you going to move your car? I said, no. I said, I'll be about a half hour, 40 minutes. And then they come up again. It's like, she needs to go. Yeah, she should have thought about that before she parked there. I said, get her to come and ask me. And she wouldn't. So I obviously wheeled up to the other side of the gate, and I just said, "It's me, just blocked you in." She went, "Yeah, I need to go." I said, "Well, I mean, look at your dash and look at mine. What's different?" She said, "Well, what do you mean?" I said, "I've got a blue badge in mine." I said, "I'm in a wheelchair. Obviously, I need it." And her excuse was there was nowhere else to park. I said, "Well, go and do what I would have had to do and park down the road and then struggle to get over it. And there's no drop curbs. Like, I would have had to struggle to get over." "Oh,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't normally do it." I was just like, "Well, you did. So, I mean, you're lying." So in the end, about 10 minutes later, my wife was nice enough to go and let her out and just said to her, like, if you would have just come in and said, "Look, I'm really sorry, I parked there, I won't do it again," it would have been the end of it. But she didn't apologize once. So, and we had it in like shopping the other day. We pulled up to a car and there was no blue badge in the window. And as we come back, to load our car up, there was this guy and he was unloading, and I kid you not, he probably had about 140 cans of energy drink in his trolley. So it kind of leads you to believe what kind of person he is. And I just thought, what are you doing? Like, all individual, the cheapest ones you could buy as well. And like my wife just went, "Oh, so you haven't got a blue badge there, you know, there's people that need these spaces." And he went, "Oh yeah, I've just put it away." And I'm like, "Why would you put it away before you unload your shopping?" Like, let's have a look at it. And he just kind of like looks away and carries on. And I'm just like, you know, you haven't got one. But it's just laziness. People are just lazy.
Yeah.
And until they realize how hard it is to live, and these are the reasons we have disabled spaces and stuff like that, and the blue badge. I mean, like realistically, we would all rather just be able to walk into a shop as a normal person. But until they realize how hard your life is made by other people, they don't care.
Yep. You're preaching to the choir, brother. We deal with it all the time.
But anyway,
Crazy, isn't it?
Tyler, when do you start your peak, or how are you approaching your peak?
I mean, I'm already doing it right now. I'm just kind of flattening out right now. I'm gonna get a little bit flatter and then start carbon up, you know.
When are you getting to Vegas?
Thursday.
I was gonna,
I
I was
What?
gonna go Thursday because that's my check-in date, but I was like, you know what? Even though I'm driving, like I might as well just get there just to acclimate, you know?
Yep. Yeah, I mean,
So
I just worked out before this and did some posing. And I'm like, yeah, I like where I'm at. Just gonna get a little bit flatter, deplete
yeah.
some water, throw some carbs in. Yeah, so I mean,
I mean, even today, I was like, you know, but I'm still gonna run my 2 hours of cardio till Wednesday.
Yeah,
And then but I mean, after I was like, okay, cool. Like I was like, do I still need to go to a sauna? Because that's actually something I will start incorporating during preps now, is sauna. Again, that was like, I realized it's like I like doing that, you know, through that panic mode that I went to, but I'll start incorporating that as in my thing too. But just like you, I like where I'm at, you know, I just gotta put the finishing touches and
yep,
carb up Wednesday or Thursday, and then, you know, and playing it really conservative this year, you know, like even like the treats, like, you know, I used to get super excited and get all these candy, and I was just like, bro, just grab me some rice cakes, a Snicker bar, and I'm good to go. Like, I don't need all this madness, bro. Like, you know, like sometimes I guess the more you do this, the more simple things become for you,
Yeah,
you know,
I was about
during
to
peak.
ask
I
how long
mean,
you've been doing it.
huh?
How long you been bodybuilding now?
I'm 39 years old. I've been doing it since I was 25 years old.
Okay. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
yeah.
the
I've been
It
only,
about
becomes
12
like
years.
you just go into autopilot, right? After a while, you've done so many preps.
Mhm.
That's what I'm telling
like,
people now. Like nothing I'm doing is a big deal in my head anymore. I'm
Yeah.
just doing what I
like,
do, you know?
like my thing, like my first two shows, like I would pack like flying, like, you know, when you know, the Palm Beach shows, the nationals,
Yep.
the wheelchair nationals, like my first show doing that, like I like had all these sweet potatoes packed in Tupperware. It was a bitch, and it was just me traveling, and I had all this crap packed, you know, like foods, like sweet potatoes, chicken, and all this bullshit. And then eventually, it's just like, dude, I'll just find a store there to go grocery, you know. Like I packed light, and I just, man, I'll figure it out when I get there. Fuck all this. I'm not trying to add that extra stress of bringing food and all that to the travel.
Yep.
Fuck all that. You
Yep.
know?
But Tyler, like you were saying, you know, the longer you do this, the easier it becomes. And not just the dieting, but like I don't even get into like the big meals and like eating crap after a show. Like I've done it enough times that I kind of realize like how shitty that makes me feel. And I
Yeah,
don't really
right.
get into that anymore.
Yeah.
I
If
think
anything,
like for me, I think that the first maybe 2 shows you do, it's kind of a bucket list thing to you. You're happy just to be doing it, and that you're kind of proving something to yourself, I guess. Once you do
Mhm.
2, 3, 4, 5 shows, then you start getting addicted to getting better, right? Then you start chasing
Yeah.
people that are better than you, and you get addicted to the chase. So like that having extra cheat meals isn't that big of a deal to you anymore. You don't miss it as much as you used to, right?
yeah, yeah,
Well, that's
yeah,
what Adolfo, you were saying you do a prep before the prep. And I'm sitting here
yeah,
thinking, I pretty much stay in prep all the time. Like I don't stray really far from sticking to a diet.
Yep.
I'm a little bit more loose with it in the off season, but my coach sends me a diet. He checks in every week all year round, and we still plan cheat meals, but otherwise I keep it rolling.
yeah,
Yeah, because you just get addicted to progress after a while, and you see like I could go
yeah.
farther with this. Let's see how far I can go. You know?
Yeah.
It's
And
easier as well. Don't you find it's just easier to follow same foods?
Mm,
it's funny when we talk about bodybuilding, like this year, like mentally, like when I started, I told myself, I think I'm gonna hang it up after this.
mhm.
Like, just there's a lot of things that I still want to. It's just, nothing bad. It's just, a lot of like some things have been happening, and I want to put more of my focus and efforts into that. I don't, and like again, I've been doing this since I was 25 years old. I'm 39. Like I dedicated everything to bodybuilding, but again, bodybuilding has become is a like where I am now is a byproduct of bodybuilding. You
Yeah.
know, my paralysis led me to bodybuilding, and bodybuilding led me to get over my paralysis and offered me the opportunity to have purpose, in this life, in this life here, and have purpose. Um, and I'm a believer in, where there's no such thing as luck. We all have our purpose here in life, and we're supposed to fulfill it. And you know, that's me. I got paralyzed. Paralysis led me to bodybuilding, and bodybuilding led me to where I'm at now as a human being, as a person. Um, my work ethic, everything comes from bodybuilding. And now I'm at the stage in my life where I want to use the efforts and work ethic and all that focus that I put in my preps year in and year out into other things in my life. And so that's why I was going to hang it up. But then again, as I get closer to the show, you get that, there's this euphoric feeling that you get. Like I'm in that zone right now. It started on Tuesday because I saw the water go down. I saw everything, and it relieved my stress. And then I remember my first day doing 2 hours of cardio on Monday. I hated it. I was like, fuck, man, I'm not going to make it. And then Tuesday, I just woke up and I said, fuck it, life or limb. And then from Tuesday on till now, I've just been in this euphoric zone of like, bro, like I can't fully give this up. Like I love the addiction of the suffer, the thing that bodybuilding does, man. Like people with bodybuilding, bro, like people use it for people, it's more materialistic, right? Muscles, how good they look, they want to get girls. Eventually for me, like bodybuilding has taught me that like bodybuilding doesn't matter. Like that's not what's important for me. What bodybuilding does for me, it allows me to realize what I should be valuing in life. Friendships, family, friends.
Yeah.
Bodybuilding is a very selfish and self-centered, but I use bodybuilding to make me appreciate the isolation that you put yourself to, the solitude, even though you try to be present and partake in events, you're really not mentally there because you're fucking hormonally all fucked up, you're depleted, you can't think straight, you're hungry, or you're just low energy. And you know like it's that feeling is very addicting, because there's always that small window of satisfaction or it's like a high you're chasing, right? Like I tell people this, after a show, food will never, that feeling you have of accomplishment, of relief, is the best feeling in the world. And even though it only lasts for like a small window, some an hour, maybe a day or two, even the food you eat will never taste the same. You'll have that small window where everything you eat is just magical, and then it all disappears. And then once you're fed and full, it's like, fuck, I'm not even hungry anymore. You don't even, yeah.
Yeah.
And so there's something about bodybuilding, like the suffering, the thing that, because there's a nice little reward, like for
Mhm.
some people that do crack, dude, they just get that little high. That's why they keep doing crack, because
Yeah.
they're addicted to that little
Chasing it.
window of high. Like I think I do it because I'm also addicted. Part of it is I'm addicted to that little window after the show where you're just in this euphoric natural state of high where you're just like, man, best feeling in the world. And it only lasts like a day or two.
That's what I was talking to
That's right, correct.
somebody on it was another episode of the podcast. I don't remember who was on it, but we brought up how you said you're going to be done after this. And then like everybody on the podcast said like, he's going to skip one show, he'll miss it and he'll come back.
and honestly, that's what I said. I said, you know what? I'm gonna at least give myself a year,
Yeah.
just to take a break, man. Like, I mean, I just, there's times I just want to be normal, man. Like, I don't want to have to roll into to 7-Eleven and always have to be conscious and think, even if it's the off season, like it's just, yeah, I just kind of want that normalcy, for a bit.
Let me ask you about this while you're making me think about it. When you did Toronto a couple years ago, it was you, Anand, and one or two other people.
That made me grow a lot. That show.
Yeah. So just like,
Because-
I've never talked to you about that, but I remember watching it through, social media. I wasn't there. You looked wacky there, in my opinion. I loved your looks there, and you took second, right, to Anand.
No, they gave me last.
Right next. Well, it was who
It
took
was just
first?
me.
Gabriel?
It was Gabe, Anand, and me. And
Yeah.
that year I was so, like, again, I learned a lot, because that year I was so upset, because I remember Anand went to me and he was just like, man, you look really good. And he's like, man, I didn't really, have time to prep, because he travels a lot. He does all this acting and all this, he's a famous dude in India. And he was like, yeah, I didn't really do much. I didn't get to diet or do this, that. And he's like, yeah, man, you look real good. And then they fucking, and again, but that's not the point. Like, I've grown past that. I've learned how to stop, whoever the judge feels is the winner, that's the winner. But regardless how you feel, you just got to come back and be stronger. But after that, I definitely was like, dude, like, what's the point? Like, I just wanted to get into powerlifting, and then, after a year, and COVID happened. I got my little break. That's the only year I got. So since I've competed from 25 years old to 39, the only years I missed was 2010, because I had a pressure ulcer that put me out, in and out of the hospital for a year. And then around the COVID time when, shows were being canceled. Those are the only years I did not prep for a show.
Yeah.
And after the 2019, that was when COVID, the Toronto show, show was in June or July, and then the whole COVID thing happened that winter or after the new year. And so that whole break from COVID, from all being off all the stuff, and dude, like, it gave my body a good rest. And then when 2020, like, was like, ooh, it's coming back. Like, I feel like I was reacting and like I was responding like I was like years ago to a lot of things. And I'm like, cool. And then 2020, like, I was like, man, it's a good look. And then 2021 came, dude, followed the same process, looked better. I was like, whoa, I got bigger. Again, I added a certain compound in there that I think helped. And then this year too, I was like, okay, if I'm a little off, I think that's where I'm good for 2 shows a year. Then I need to take a rest. So I'll see how I look on this show. And if I feel like I digress, then okay, good. But regardless, whatever placing I get, like, I for sure I need to take a break. So, But yes, I was contemplating hanging it up then too in 2019. I was so sad. Because I've never won a first. I've never took first in as a pro. My first my first overall victory was when I won my pro card. And, but even when I won my pro card, like I just knew genetically, I was like, it's going to be hard for me to even place or compete with these guys. And, I was just like, I was always just content with just like, okay, maybe just being mid pack of the guys, just based on my observation with my genetics, like how much I don't want to push and with certain things. And so I was just content with just my big win, winning my pro card, my only ever first place win in bodybuilding. And when I became a pro, I just, during my, and I was trying to compete naturally, like for my first 2 pro shows, and I was like, fuck this. And then, yeah, I was like, this is stupid. It really is. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, unless I'm that outlier that has genetically, looks great. But I mean, yeah, after my second show, I was just like, bro, I'm over here dieting for like 30 fucking weeks, and I'm thinking like, man, I'm fucking shredded, man. I think I could knock one of these guys off. Fucking I show up, these guys are just as conditioned, but bigger than me. And I'm like, fuck. And then, they're doing your typical 12, 16 week preps. And I'm like, dude, I'm starting at 30 weeks out because I'm fucking natty. And so I said, man, fuck all this. And so, where did I ramble to, bro? Like, where was I?
That was me though at 2018 Olympia, the first time that I competed with you, right? 2018, I was 125 pounds natty.
Yeah.
So how do you think I felt? I'm like,
dude.
holy shit, look at what the fuck am I doing here? But,
dude, as a natural, I'd weigh like 130, 135, dieted down. And then once I started enhancements in 2017, like I noticed my stage weight go from like 145, 150, 155, 160, 165. Now all of a sudden, like this past show, and this next show, I'm like around mid 170s now.
Nice.
On stage weight.
Freaking 2018 though, I'm 125 pounds natty. And I'm thinking in my head, okay, I'm not the big guy. I got to come in shredded. So I over dieted, and you remember how tiny I was,
Yeah.
And no, but I went out on stage, like the first 5 seconds I'm on the Olympia stage doing my music routine, right? Go out there and I like hit the front pose. I'm waiting for my music to turn on. First thing I see is Steve Weinberger, the head referee or the head judge. He's in the middle of the table like this. And he's watching me like the whole time like this. I'm like, fuck this. Then I gained 10 pounds after that for the next Olympia.
Yeah. And yeah, man, I where was I getting at? Where were we getting at? Where was our conversation going, Tyler, with this?
Just
like talking about retirement originally.
Oh, yeah. And, like I was very, like in 2019 or I was like, I'll see how I look this and evaluate. And, but I think I have a formula. I think this year, I think I have a solid formula, but if that's never the case, but I think you have your blueprint. I think I've found my blueprint with regards to what makes me get through my preps, how I could adhere, like with everything. So, I think, I'm not ready to give it up. And I'm not ready to give it up. I mean, Harold and these guys are competing at what, in their 50s almost? Yep. I was like, fuck, bro.
What's Gabriel like?
And Anand bro, and Gabe is just now hitting his, like, I think his prime. He's looking good. Like he's almost 52. I think he's in his late 40s.
Oh, I think Anthony is 52 apparently.
Yeah, he is too.
Yo, I want to know his fucking secret, bro. Like
he's
so I in 2017 and 2018 I was able to get over Anthony because he never had that type of conditioning. And then all of a sudden, after the 2018 Arnold, when he showed up to that following Toronto Pro where Steve Lister, remember him?
Yep.
And these other guys thought they were going to win it. And then this fool peeled off and he was the most shredded. Like his face was shredded, dog. His veins were shredded. Like his shredded was shredded, and like it was ridiculous. And he always showed up like that ever since then. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then I was like, what is he doing? Is he doing like 4 hours of fucking cardio? Like, what's the deal here? But god damn, bro, like his conditioning is
It gets better
breathtaking,
though,
bro.
doesn't it? You watch him at pre-judging, and then watch him in the finals. His condition changes like in those 4 hours.
I was
in
just
that
like,
gap.
fuck, what is this guy doing? I was just like,
Yeah, like at the
Jesus.
Arnold's this year, we done obviously pre-judging, and then I mean he was shredded anyway. And then when they come down to the finals, you're just like, come on, man, like,
Yeah.
like give
Yeah.
someone else a chance. Like he is.
Yeah,
he
so I
is-
was like, man, what is this cat's secret, man? So, but
Well,
yeah,
I think just as much with how you approach your cardio, if you got the right cocktail of enhancements that, you know, harden you and make you look dry at the
yeah,
end.
yeah.
I mean, that can really make a huge difference. So
I mean,
I mean,
honestly, I'm seeing right now with the way I'm seeing my kind of the dude, because I'm pushing out a lot of water right now. Like it's weird. Like even last year, I never felt like the depletion. Like you know when you just feel it, like you feel like once those carbs hit, you're gonna feel the pump.
mhm.
You know, and like I'm feeling that right now. I'm like I could like I feel flat, but yet I know that when those cards come, I think it's gonna hit me harder. And I think but we'll see. I'm probably just talking out my ass right now. So but
no, but
yeah.
it's the whole picture, right? I mean, you got, what are you doing with your diet, with your training, with the enhancements, with your water, with your
Yeah.
salt?
Yeah.
I mean, and there's no way to do one show and figure that out. You got to do a
Yeah.
bunch of shows and screw up
Yeah,
a bunch
man.
of times.
And sometimes your body changes and you can't go that
Yeah.
approach anymore. I remember in 2017 when it was the first Arnold I did, dude, I did a carb like a rapid backload. You know the guy Cliff Wilson, Coach Cliff Wilson. He always
Mhm.
talks about a rapid backload. So basically, you have to time everything right, like from your sodium to potassium ratio, everything. Like, and then on Friday, you just fucking backload like 1,000 grams of carbs and keep fat as low as possible. And dudes, that was probably the best look and physically and like mentally that I felt like it was right. And then ever since then, I couldn't do that anymore. I was playing around with different ones, maybe can front load this because I tried it again. I didn't show up so good. So again, I think I was in that phase where, like, because I was a natty and then that's 2017 was my first year. So I think my body just responded really well. And, like, again, like I think as the years went where I had this little funk, I think like your body is just shifting and transforming where, again, I may be totally wrong where you're just putting on a fast amount of muscle but your body's trying to keep up, trying to keep its lines and stay sharp and be conditioned. I don't know if I went through a little phase like that where it was hard for me, but either or I'm in a space now where it's like, okay, I'm like, I can get there. Like I've been building my formula year after year from all the mistakes, whatever. And so, yeah.
You got to come in flat one time. You got to come in watery one time. You got to make every mistake once, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, man. And, yeah, this year I'm kind of taking it more old school style. Distilled water, doing the whole distilled water, the whole not necessarily, but the, very light fish and asparagus as a natural diuretic, all that stuff. And,
Are you doing, you're doing the Kevin Lerone where it's like nothing but fish?
No, I just started it a couple days ago. That's it.
Okay. I mean, that's what Kevin would do, right? I think Kevin Lerone would do like nothing but fish for the last however many weeks or something.
They'll tell you it because fish thins the skin. It's like, no, because the tilapia and cod and orange roughy is like no fat. So you're just eating less calories, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I mean, regardless, if you get in shape, like you're in shape, you don't need to do.
Yeah.
I think
I think I've tried.
Huh?
I think I've tried everything
Yeah.
under the sun. I mean, I've
Yeah.
done the vegan diet. I've done keto. I've tried everything, and I'll tell you what I really like is just the conventional diet. And my coach now, with a 40-40 split of protein, carbs, fats, and then he gradually brings my carbs down at the end, and he really likes to bring me down early. So right now he's bringing me down for a March show, but there's never really any major like shifts in the diet. It's tiny, long-term, small changes along the way.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
nothing crazy at the end, right? Like even with my water, it's I take a
just get
natural dryer, and I try to stay away from diazide if I can,
Yeah.
just
Yeah, I
nothing
think
crazy.
that's a last curveball, or if you just want to push the envelope and get a little bit tighter, But I mean, if you're in shape, I don't think you really need to throw that at yourself, unless you're just trying to push the envelope and want to get a little tighter. But again, you're taking a risk,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never take more than like a quarter of a diazide, and then we look
Yeah.
at see how I look, and then I
And
usually
diazide's the best one to use
yeah.
because it's reversible. Like there's some that you use it, and what if you fuck up, bro? There's no amount of salt or carbs or water that's gonna.
Yep.
So yeah. So I mean,
But
for me,
go
another
ahead.
thing, another thing that I changed up this year in my prep too is I ate more meals. I went to get back old school. I went to eating 6 meals a day, and because I come from more of an intermittent fasting background. Because my history is I started off your conventional bro prep. Like eat every 2 to 3 hours, eat like 7, 8 meals a day, do that whole thing, and then as I started just reading more and just looking more at evidence-based, approaches, I started leaning more towards that. And so my meal frequency was just like 3 to 4 meals. And I got to go piss before I piss myself because I've been pissing every 20 minutes. So
Get that distilled
do
water
what you
down.
got to do, man. That's hilarious.
But so while we're waiting for him, I was going to ask you guys, I haven't gotten to ask any of you, I don't think, any Olympia predictions. So whether it's wheelchair division predictions or the open, anybody really opinionated on either one of them?
I think wheelchair wise, I'd like to see Gabe take it. I think it's going to be Gabe and Harold 1 and 2. 3, I mean, Anthony, looking at him at the Arnolds, he is so conditioned. I don't think he can really do too much different from what he done at the Arnolds. If he comes in that condition, he's going to be up there. I think you've got some dark horses. I think Anard looks watery. I think he looks quite soft at the moment from what I saw on whether they're recent Instagram pictures you're seeing of him. I think he's looking quite soft. And I know he's got a phenomenal physique. He looks great when he comes in. He looks fantastic. But if he comes in, I mean, you've all seen the videos of him, like he was unboxing something that his sponsors sent him the other day, and he just looked quite soft.
Which one was that?
Anand.
Indian. Indian guy from India.
What's that?
Guy from India, right?
Yes, yeah. Again, I've not seen him. I've only seen him with a t-shirt on. But in my opinion, he is looking soft. I try and look at people's faces and see how drawn in they are.
Yeah.
Just go from there. But I mean, obviously, Gabe, he's looking phenomenal. He looks great. If you look at his last, from the Arnold's last year, the US Arnold's this year, very similar physique. His back's got a lot wider though, a little more density to his back as well. And again, you can only really go by pictures. When obviously I was on stage with him in September, and you just sit there and you think, man, like
The only the only day that matters is that day. That's it, right?
exactly.
Doesn't matter
Exactly.
how you look fucking right now or thing. Like what matters is how you look when you're trying to place or win, right?
Yeah, 100%. Like, I mean, I come off the amateur stage. I won on the Saturday, and then obviously I got to compete on the Sunday. And I mean, I was under no illusion I'm now going to go and stand on a bigger stage with much bigger guys. There was only Gabriel, Anthony, and Corral. And I just thought, well, I'm going to go and have a beer. I'm going to enjoy some food. I'm not going to beat these guys, but I'm going to go and do this for the experience. And I know I'm coming away with a 4th place Arnold's medal, and not many people have got one of them. So you look 5 years' time, no one's going to go, oh, how many people competed? They're going to go, oh, you've got a 4th place. You know, you're looking at the records, it's going to be a 4th place Arnold's medal. So, you know, I mean, I went on stage with him, and Carell, he's got some size. He's a big boy. He is a big boy. But, you know, and Anthony come in very, very conditioned and pipped him. So, you know, yeah, I think I would like, you know, I love Harold to pieces, and it's no disrespect to Harold, but I'd love to see Gabe win it.
Yeah. Hey, Tyler, did we hear back about Generation Iron? Like, have they been
Yeah,
filming?
that's not happening anymore.
That's why I always take those little things with a grain of salt, bro. Because it's just like, you know, at the end of the day, it's like, bro, like we've got into this because of other reasons. It's not for this bullshit, you know. Like, yeah, if it happens, cool. Like, but I got into bodybuilding because I was in a bad place mentally, emotionally. Like, I needed to find an outlet. I needed a purpose, and that's what bodybuilding gave me. And you know, if I just stick to that, the reason of my roots of why I do bodybuilding, like all that other noise doesn't matter, man. Like, you know, like, oh, you know, even the crowds, you know, like I get it. Like, you know, we're trying to draw people in and this, and like, it's just, man, you just gotta, you gotta do it because like, what got you here, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
us wheelchair bodybuilders, we're very unique, man, because like a lot of it is probably what brought us here is due to our paralysis, right? You know,
Yeah.
like, because we realize it's something we can strive and achieve and be good at and excel at it, and you know, not just not just show up and get claps because we're in fucking chairs. We actually put in the work. Like, we fucking prep, we diet, we do every fucking thing like the next person does with legs, you know, but we're doing it in a chair, you know. So it's a unique thing of what we bring to the division, even though that, you know, we don't get much attention or eyes. I mean, you know,
what's your crowds like? Because I know the Olympia stage isn't the main Olympia stage. What's your crowd like at the Olympia stage?
You know, what did the Dallas crowd look like? I haven't done like one of the qualifier shows in a while, so I don't know. The only stage I've known for the past 2-3 years is the Olympia, and you know, again, we're in the expo, so it looks crowded, but I don't know who's really there, like observing us. Like, you can tell there are people, but you know, so
Yeah, I mean, we you know, we don't ever fill all the seats. You know, I'd say it's usually a medium crowd. And from what I remember in Dallas, it was the same. It was a medium crowd, but it wasn't every seat filled. It was probably half the seats filled.
Yeah.
I
We
think
had go on.
if we just had more competitors, like just fucking
It's
bombarding,
growing.
like
It's
it'll
growing
work.
now, isn't it? I mean, we've got the pro card now given out in the UK, so that's another
And
country
that's great because there's always been a lot of freaking great physiques that I would see like outside of America, you know, like Brazil,
Well, I
UK,
think this
and
is the hardest thing is trying to push it to.
yeah, and I'm looking at it, so I was like, yo, how come they're not competing with us? If they compete with us, because you guys seem more active in the UK and in Brazil than a lot of the American bodybuilders here who like, dude, there's only like 5 of us that are active in
Well,
America.
I think at the
right?
moment I'm the only UK wheelchair pro.
Yeah. And
Well,
So, but I mean,
Yeah.
our crowd, I think at the Arnold's, they've done it pretty well.
nice.
They had no choice but to have a full crowd because
Nice.
they've done the men's open pre-judging just before us, as in,
But
so we all done pre-judging and then we come back for the finals. But the men's open pre-judging was the first thing on at the finals. So we had 3,000 people. Every seat was filled, and you know, for us, I mean, it's great. It's good to see. So that's
Nice.
why I asked, like, what's the crowd like at the Olympia stage,
Yeah.
knowing that we have a separate stage at the Olympia.
Yeah, I mean, it's medium. You know, it's not every seat filled yet, but
It will happen. It will happen.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's not. It's only a recent thing that we've started getting posters at the Olympia, right? What, the last 2
Yeah.
years?
well,
Yeah.
like when where they're actually posting it around the Olympia and stuff. That was the last 2 years, I think, where they really started promoting us at the Olympia just as much as all the other divisions, where there was posters and stuff. And
Yeah, exactly. So it is, you know, I mean, for yourself, like you've obviously done this quite a while. So you must have watched this grow.
well, it was really cool for me. Yeah, I mean, because with me, I won my pro card in 2018, and then the first time we were in the Olympia was 2018. My first pro show was the damn Olympia, which, like, fuck, you know. So I wandered in there, and okay, here's Adolfo, here's Harold, here's Gabriel. They're all dwarfing me, you know. But
You need that, right? You need that to be like, okay, so this is where I need to go.
It was really, really cool, though, from my perspective, to be part of that first Olympia and then all the way to now and see how much more support we get now. We get like way more advertisement and support now than we did at our first Olympia. So it's been cool to see every year the IFBB or whoever, the people running the Olympia, they're helping us a little more every year. They're giving us something more, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's what people want to see, and it will. Obviously, we obviously want to see all that, but I think it is. I do like. I followed it for. Well, I mean, I've been in the chair for 3 years, so I followed it for the last 3 years. Like, actually followed it, and as I said earlier, that for me, it was never about competing. For me, it was always about getting the show over here. I didn't want to compete. It was kind of pushed on me, like, you fought for this show, you now have to compete. And it's like, oh,
so you were just fighting for it as a spectator?
Well, for me, like, I competed able-bodied, and then obviously when I needed a wheelchair, I was.
Oh, you were a bodybuilder prior.
Yeah, not like I was never big, so don't be like, whoa.
No, but still, you have a bodybuilding background prior to you getting injured.
Yeah. So I'll show you my last.
That's going to be a big benefit. That's a big benefit for you.
Yeah, I think
because Harold and Gabe were bodybuilders prior. Oh, yeah. Nice.
Okay. So I done classic, and I never won, never placed. You know, first time I ever won a show, got my pro card. So, you know, then obviously the next day I was on a totally different stage, big, massive crowd. But, you know, I mean, like, even at our amateur show, we had 500 people watching just the wheelchair, because the wheelchair was on the same stage, but it was an hour and a half after all the other shows had finished. Had a big break.
Yeah.
And all that was left was the amateur wheelchair. And they only had probably 500 seats, and they were all filled. They weren't
wow.
So, and it, you know, awesome. It's the first time they've ever done an amateur UK wheelchair show.
Wow,
but yeah,
awesome.
For me, it was never about me competing. It was about, like, I needed a focus. Like, I've always trained, and for me, the gym is, like, for many, therapy. You know, you can go in there, do your hour where you're just alone, and you've got your time. You know. And as I said earlier on, you know, it's about me trying to make a better me for later on in life, where I need to be stronger to be able to move myself about. But I just needed something to focus on, like, and my focus was, do you know what? We haven't got a wheelchair show in this country. So my focus was to get a wheelchair show with Leeds. It wasn't never going to be a pro card show. But then as more people were like, yeah, we'll do this, then they ended up putting a pro card to it. And as I said, like, yeah, I was never going to compete. I well and truly hung my trunks up. I just wanted to show, like, that was my focus for that year. A year and a half of, I just need to focus on something, and that was it. I needed to get a show over here, and we worked tirelessly to do it. And then Nick was like, right, you've got to compete. I'm like, oh, I don't want to. And then he was like, well, listen, you've made all this noise, you've got to do it. So like, I spoke to my wife and I just said, look, what do you think? And she was like, well, yeah, what have you got to lose? Like, you've already won, you've got the show, you've already won, you've done what you set out to do. So, and then it just turned out that I won the show as well.
Awesome job, man.
Nick's a fucking persuasive motherfucker, huh?
Yeah, to be fair, I thought a lot of
Yes,
people
he
hated
is.
me for some time. Like, I
Yes, he
caused a lot of stir. I think there was a few times Nick hated me, Ian at Two Bros hated me. But you know, we get on great now. Like, we talk all the time. You know, the first thing I'd apologized for the noise that I made about it over here. And the first time I met them in person, I went up to them, shook their hand. I was like, listen, it's all forgotten. Love you. And they're like, yeah, we love you too. It's like, okay. You know, and originally we had 14 competitors for the amateur show. But then we had a couple of guys with visa problems. We had a lad that had to pull out because his baby was due, and then he was brought forward, and it was literally born on the weekend of the Arnold, so he couldn't compete.
Jesus.
So yeah, it was. I mean, we still had a good turnout. It was a good show. It was a really good show. And then, you know, you want people to come to watch the show for what it is, not because we're in a wheelchair. You want them to come and watch the show because it's a bodybuilding show. And, you know, like, from that second of getting on stage, winning my pro cards, and then the second I got off, that's when my life kind of turned a little bit. And it was like, oh man, this is weird. Like, people are stopping you and asking for photos. And I was just like, yeah, you do that. For me, that's weird. Like, I just like, oh man, this is weird. This is so surreal. Like, when I had a week off after, I just come home, we chilled out for a week, ate a little bit of crap food. Like, by the Wednesday, I was back on like normal food. Now I'm vegan. You lot are all talking about chicken and rice, but I'm a vegan. So for me, it's like substitute chicken and rice. And like, we just went back to the gym a week after. And then, as I say, like, my gym, I have to go around the side, and I open the door. And I went back in, and then the whole gym sitting there clapping, and I'm just like, oh, I'm not this person. Like, it's weird, but it's nice, you know. Like, I say I don't like being centre of attention, and my missus is like, you love it, and I'm like, no. On stage, it's different. I've worked hard for that. I've worked for that moment to be my moment. That 1 minute or 1 minute 30 seconds, I've worked hard for a long time for that minute to be mine. After that, I'm just like, right, I'm good. But yeah, it was so surreal. It was good.
Good story.
awesome.
Just the beginning.
But I think it lit a fire again. As soon as I come off stage, and as soon as I went onto the pro stage, I was like, oh, I like this. And, you know, like, for many years, I was just like, I'm not interested in competing. I still train because I like training. I've trained for a long time. You know, for me, it was always just, if I didn't go to the gym, I just felt a bit flat. So, you know, I'd always go to the gym, and, you know, my diet wasn't always great. And then when we got the show, everything turned perfect. We were well behind. I was just very lucky on the day, I suppose. I would say, like, I had coaching issues, and then 6 weeks out, I changed my coach, which is probably the biggest no-no. But things just weren't going how they should have gone. And I would say probably when I went on stage, I was still probably a good 3-4 weeks out of how I wanted to look. And being as heavily tattooed as I am as well, obviously I need to be leaner than anyone else because I am covered in tattoos. So, but we still done it. So I was lucky in that sense. I'm glad a lot of them pulled out.
Welcome to the group, though.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And then, yeah, Tim, you haven't competed a pro yet, right?
Not
So
yet.
yeah, we'll be welcoming you to the group soon too, like officially on stage.
Yeah.
A bit
And that's
lucky,
kind of that's the issue that I think even Bradley has expressed it too, is that, you know, a lot of these guys, they're pro card and they never compete again, you know,
Yeah.
and it's just like, it's like, bro, like, don't take somebody's slot if you're not gonna compete. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Like you
But
know, like
you see that in able-bodied athletes as well. They get their pro card. We've had a few guys from, or a few girls and guys from the UK. They get a pro card,
and
and
you remember?
it's almost
Go ahead. Finish.
it's almost like they've reached that goal, and then you never see them again. You're like, why?
Yeah.
Why do it? Like, why have you done that? You're fighting, and someone else the person who comes second must look at them and think, why I should have got that, because I would have carried on.
I
That's
mean,
why I messaged you though. Adolfo, do you remember me?
yeah, I
messaging
was
you?
just gonna
Yeah.
bring that up. Like, my best advice to guys who just win their card is to just go at it, because again, you're always like, I did this too. When I first won my pro card, I was just like, I look at your Gabes, your Heralds, and I'm just like, oh man, I'm too small. Like, I can't compete with these guys. And but then I told myself, you know what, just do one real quick and just see how you feel. If you feel like you're up to par with the guys, and just see where you stand. Just do it. And that's what I told you, Tyler. I said, because you were that same mentality. Oh, I'm too small. Everybody's big. So you're always going to tell yourself that, because you're always going to see the top two guys. You're always going to. That's not the best marker. Is to look at Harold and Gabe. Those aren't the best markers to look at to compare yourselves. Like, of course you're going to get depressed and insecure, because those motherfuckers are the best. And so, like,
But they're not going to be here forever, are they? They're coming to the end, really, realistically.
And so just by doing it, you just get that little shakes out and you figure it out. And then from there, you'll figure it out what you want to do. If being a IFBB pro is something that you want to continue, cool. And you realize, not for me. Okay, cool. At least you put yourself out there to do your first pro show to see how you feel, but don't just win it and then call yourself an IFBB pro and wheelchair bodybuilder, and you haven't even competed in a pro show yet.
100%.
Like,
Yeah.
and again, that's just my beef. I get it if you win, like, you want to take a few years off and this, but you eventually got to put that shit to use, man. Like,
Yeah,
so.
that was the first thing I told Nick was, I promise you, bro, I am not going to be one of these pros that gets their card and just sails off into the sunset. That ain't me. I work too hard for it. Like, I don't know if you guys know my story. I know Tyler knows it, but I competed for 12 years. I went to wheelchair nationals 7 times, came in second overall 3 times before I finally won my pro card. So,
that was
on
you.
Instagram. We spoke on Instagram after you won it.
Yeah.
That was you, yeah.
So, and look, I played wheelchair basketball for 16 years, and I was doing bodybuilding in addition to playing basketball for basically 10 years before I finally retired basketball. So, like, I couldn't really put on size. I mean, you can't put on size when you're playing basketball. It's too much cardiovascular practice 2-3 times a week. We play 4 to 6 games over a weekend in a tournament, and you do that for 9 months out of the year. So now that I put that behind me, I've really put on more size in the last 2 years than I ever have. And it's just cutting all that out, So look, as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to compete until my body tells me that I can't compete anymore. So
same. So you had 2 cards given out at your show, didn't you?
At Wheelchair Nationals.
Yeah, was it?
Yeah. They do
2
a
cards.
complete division and an incomplete.
Oh, who got the other card at your show?
Joey or
Oh, yeah, that's right.
yeah.
He's
getting
doing
ready
the
for the
Olympia,
Arnold.
isn't it? No, he's not doing the Olympia. That's right. He's doing the Arnold's, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So and then you've got who else got their pro card this year? Abraham, he got his, didn't he?
Woody got it.
Yeah, he got his. Yeah,
but he's going to be at the Olympia. So it was weird how
he
qualified, I guess, because he competed in the pro show right away.
Yeah,
so he done the Toronto, got his card,
Yeah.
and then he was straight into the pro show, wasn't he? But he was I believe he was the only one on the pro show.
Yeah. So my plan is to compete at the Arnold, and then I'll probably have to do the Dallas in order to qualify for the Olympia. Just predicting on where I'm likely to place, which is probably towards the bottom. So
Arnold is going to be a big show, isn't it? Arnold's always a big show. So what would you do the Toronto show?
I've never done it.
No, I look at that. I don't know what their pro lineup is. I know obviously Tory, he'd probably do it, wouldn't he? Because he's from Canada, so I'm
Now,
assuming.
Yeah.
Tory and Woody, I think they're both.
The UK guys always do it. I know Gabe and Anthony do it sometimes, a lot of times too.
When is it?
It's usually around July, summer. It's usually around June or July.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, maybe I could do that one. We'll see.
I don't know, points wise. So the points all the same for all the shows.
I don't know. Do you know, Tyler?
Yeah,
are they
I'm
different
pretty
for the
sure they are.
others?
I'm pretty sure the points are the same for every show. And if you win any of the shows, you're automatically into the Olympia.
Yeah, just
so
like regular. Yeah.
Tim, if you've done the Toronto and you were looking at Gabe and Woody and whoever was going to be there, I mean, I got 8 points for placing fourth at the Olympia, the Arnold's. So if you get 8 points and, you're going to get new pros obviously coming next year. But I think it's the top 5 highest point standings, right?
It's something like that. Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, so that's what I believe it is.
I don't remember what he said. Yeah, if it's top 5 in the points, but then so many people win pro shows throughout the year too. So like, it's not that hard to qualify for the Olympia yet because we just don't have numbers yet, But when we get numbers, it's going to get harder,
Yeah, exactly that. That's where I was like, this year I was like, okay, well, I'm going to sit this one out. And then I'm like, oh, what if I never qualify again? Just like,
I mean, right now it's pretty much just compete once at any show, doesn't matter what you place, and you're pretty much guaranteed going to the Olympia right now.
Yeah.
Give it another 5 years, and hopefully we'll have enough people that it'll be harder.
100%. Hopefully in 5 years I'm a lot bigger than what I am now.
Me too.
That's the that's my plan. So we'll see what happens. What's your predictions though?
Huh?
You asked about predictions earlier. What's yours?
So for wheelchair,
So I actually watched your podcast about this last time. So Tim, what's your predictions this year at the Olympia wheelchair?
Well,
just to put everyone on the spot, knowing there's 2 people competing in it.
Yeah. Well,
no, I mean, good. I don't get hurt by that shit.
Tyler in first.
Well, I mean, first of all, I just want to say, like, looking at the lineup, and I wanted to kind of ask y'all's opinion on this. I can't remember seeing a stiffer lineup than what we got this year.
No, this is the best lineup ever, definitely.
Yeah, because I mean,
it would pair up to the first pro show in Houston.
Yeah,
the first Houston.
We got 1, 2, 3. We got 6 Americans: India, Algeria, Italy, Brazil, and 2 from Canada. And I was thinking, you got Harold and Gabe and Anthony. I would put you and Anthony probably right there below those 2. So I would predict you guys to be in the top 4. And then everything below that is very close, in my opinion. And I don't know, it depends on how Anand looks coming in. And I don't know this Pierre guy, but Tory, Bradley's put on a lot of size. I mean, Tyler, you're in that category where I think there's a lot of competition, man. So
they're just still babies too.
Yeah,
they're just still babies.
Young, yeah. Brad's young, isn't he? Brad is young.
But I mean,
I think Tory's
got
really
good size. I don't know if his conditioning is good enough.
Who's that?
Tory.
See, I look at Tory's. All we've got to go by on Tory's conditioning, is his last show. If he can bring in that little bit tighter, his last show where he turned pro, he had good condition. He looked good. Yeah, and that was his first show, wasn't it, as a wheelchair competitor? So, if he can bring that in tighter and he's put on a little bit of size in the year that he's had off, or the year and a bit more that he's had off, You know,
Yeah.
like I think he's up there.
Yeah, I mean, Chad always has good conditioning. It's just I don't know if his proportions are as good as some of the people at the top. But Tyler, you're right there, you know, in that probably right below the top four. But it, like I said, man, it's so close to me below that. And the only reason is, you know, if you look at the size, you know, and Anthony doesn't really have like Adolfo your size. It's the conditioning. So it just really
100%
comes
the
in
conditioning.
matters like what are they looking for?
Yeah.
What are they going to
Yeah.
value?
So that's always that's my marker is Anthony. Like that he's sort of my marker because I see I'm bigger than him, but he's more better conditioning than me. So if I could get to his conditioning, I think I could, you know, then that's, but again, if I ever get there, if I do, you know, if I don't, like, that's kind of like Anthony has always been the guy that I've chased because because I've placed over him before, but then ever since he found his formula to get fucking unhumanly shredded, fuck, man, it's been hard.
It's crazy, isn't it? His conditioning
Yeah.
is crazy.
Hey,
Like he I don't know what it was, but he has this whatever it is, but he just comes like abnormally shredded and just unhumanly shredded and is ridiculous.
Hey,
And
if you can get that, you'll be right there with Gabe and
so
Eric.
so we'll see, man. Like, you know, like it's tough, but you know, like I'm a like for me, man, I could, you know, I'll have my thing, you know, like what 2020 I got top 3 or 2021 I got 4th, I think, right, Tyler?
20. What was that year? I got
2020 it was Harold,
2020.
Anthony, and then me.
Yeah.
And then 2021 it was Harold, Gabe, Anthony, then me, then you.
Yeah.
You were always behind me. So it's like you're chasing me.
Yeah.
Like you're on my tail. I'm
Yeah.
always on Anthony's tail. Anthony's on Gabe's tail, and
Yeah.
Gabe already caught, you know, once, you know.
Yeah.
So that's kind of
Hey.
like the train, right?
Yeah.
It's
So
Tyler chase and it's Bradley chasing Tyler, right?
Hey, but to
But
my point, there's a
he did
bunch
get
of
you
them
in Dallas.
chasing both of you right
Yeah.
now.
yeah, exactly. But
Bunch.
Harold,
Well, now Tori. I mean, to me, the two wild cards is Anand because we don't know what he's going to look like. We haven't seen him in forever. And then Tori is so freaking tall. He's as tall as Brad. So, like, what is that going to look like on stage? Is he better or worse than Brad? I mean, so those are two dark horses in my eyes that we don't know where they're going to place.
yeah, and you never seen Tori be able to compete with the pros, really.
Yeah.
So no one's ever seen him next to a pro. We've
Yeah,
all seen him
exactly.
with his pro card.
So I know because of reference of Brad's structure is so freaking big. So now Tori is around that big too. So like
He's like 6'7".
What?
That motherfucker's like 6'7".
Yeah, they're fucking tall. So like it's both of them got a hell of a back lat spread. You know, they got such a structure. You know,
and it's gonna be scary when they get to where they need to get to fill out that fucking frame.
Yeah,
like
no, fill it out.
that's where I'll probably hang it up. I'll be like, okay, you guys are fucking 6'7". Now okay. I'll just use I'm getting old excuse.
As soon as they get their protocol down just right.
Hey, but you know that reminds me of the UK show that guy Carol came in. When you look at him on Instagram, you think, man, that guy's going to give them a run. But then you look at him on stage beside, what was it, Anthony and Gabe? And then I was like, no, he's not quite there yet. So until you get side by side up on stage, you really never know.
So Corral, right, real nice guy, really nice guy. His coach, he doesn't speak too much English. So the guy he went with was kind of translating everything. And he showed me a picture of him like 3 days before the Arnolds. And we're talking like big, grainy, almost like Dorian Yates grainy. And I was like, man, this guy is going to do well.
Then what happened?
Just didn't pump up.
Oh.
Chilling out. Like,
probably nerves, man. It gets me a lot.
You know what? Like he pumped up a little bit. And then we're all pumping up, and then Nick's like 15 minutes, like right, cool. And then 15 minutes comes by, it's like, right, 10 minutes. And you're like, right, cool. And we're all pumping up and he's just chilled, just relaxing. You know, he pumped up for probably a good 10 minutes and then that was it.
Oh,
And then we're probably on stage another 10, 15 minutes after that. And then obviously we're on the ramp waiting to go on the stage, and then Nick's talking on stage. So you've got a good 5 minutes there. You know, and everyone else was pumping up till the last second, till we were called to go onto the ramp. So me, Anthony and Gabe, we were all carrying on pumping up. Like, I mean, I just needed to look as big as possible because I was never going to get these guys anyway, but I needed to look like I belonged there. But yeah, he was just chilled. Like even on the ramp, like we were just rolling backwards and forwards, like just trying to pump up a little bit more with the railings, and he was just relaxing, having the time of his life. You know, and I think so that was his first pro show, and I think that was a learning curve for him. I think next one he goes into, he will definitely take that on board and pump up a lot more because he's big. He is big.
Yeah. What about you guys? Like for me, I don't know if you guys know this. I know you know this, Tyler, but I'm 45 years old, and I feel like the older you get, the more like I look small, but then when I get pumped up, I grow a lot. And I think
I've always had that same.
So like when I have to pump it up like at least 20 minutes. And
I've always looked. Even when before I was in a wheelchair, I'd be like that guy that I'd go into the gym and I'd be like, oh, I just feel small. And then I'd pump up, I'd be like, oh yeah, I look good now. I'm fine. I look all right. I'm that guy that I look two different people. I'm Nick before I go in the gym, and I'm Nick when I pump up, and I'm like, okay, now I can take my hoodie off. I look all right.
Yeah.
But-
hey guys, I've enjoyed this conversation. I do have to drop out of here and go do something.
Yeah.
Same here. I gotta eat my meal. I gotta cook.
I've got to go to bed. It's
Yeah,
half
we
10
feel
at night.
stuff.
Hey,
Huh?
we sit here long enough, we all get hungry, man. We're bodybuilders, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What time are you in?
I'm thinking of my
What
egg
time are
whites
you
right
on?
now. Huh?
What time is it for you, Adolfo? What time?
It is 2:30. My next meal will be, or 2:25. My next meal is at 3:00. So,
Yeah.
Right, and you're all in the same time zone, yeah?
Tyler and I are,
Yeah, me and Adolfo are, yeah.
but he's still
So
7
two-
hours away from me.
Oh, okay. So
He's
it's half
7
10
hours
at
north.
night.
Yeah, he's 7 hours north of me, but we're on the same coast. So,
Oh, yeah, gotcha. Yeah, well, it's like, what, 10:30 at night now, so, and snowing.
Yeah.
So it's
oh
lovely.
shit.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's break out then. So
All right,
people can
we
chill.
will talk after the Olympia then.
Hey,
All
good
right,
luck,
Tyler,
guys.
good luck.
Hey, we'll be pulling for
Hey,
you.
guys.
Adolfo, good luck.
It's great meeting you guys. Nick, oh,
Yeah,
I
you
already
too.
know
Yeah,
you. Yeah.
you too,
Okay.
you too.
What's your
All right.
Instagram? I don't think we follow each other.
I think I follow you.
What is yours? Well, that's
Nick-
why we meet, so we know who.
100%.
What is it?
I'll
What
send
is it,
you a
brother?
message now.
Okay, cool. Okay,
All right.
Cool.
Talk to you
I'll
guys
see
later.
you. I'll see you boys.
Have a good one,
All right,
guys.
bye.
All right.
Take
Yeah.
care. Bye now.